Hey, Jared.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Sorry, I'm trying to still let everybody jumps on at the last minute.
No, I know how it goes. I just did the same thing, so I can't get mad at them.
All right, perfect. I also, full disclosure, I've been on like 800 Zoom meetings. I'm never the one in charge of the Zoom meeting. So,
Are you letting us know you're going to let us all down?
yeah, I'm just setting the bar as
I've
low as
also been on
possible.
800 Zoom meetings, and so this is gonna suck. I'm just
All right.
letting everybody know. This is,
Okay, hold on. Trying to make sure we get everybody in here. And then I'm sure people will keep jumping on as we go.
I'm used to seeing you sitting by the pool or
Right?
something like that.
I
This
do
is
work sometimes.
oh my God, it's a professional version here.
Despite what Instagram might tell you.
Nice. So who are we? Who are we? This is the people from the company. This is from YPN. Who is
So,
the?
so this is company-wide. We're a big company. We're like 1,300 agents, but today we're focused specifically on our young professionals.
Gotcha. So I should make sure I stay woke
Yeah,
and use words like
exactly.
that, right?
Use
Awesome.
as much slang as
Awesome.
possible.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna let a couple more people in, and then I'm gonna say, let's get going. Okay, I'm ready if you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm looking at the
Okay.
screen. I wish it was a bad filter, but I'm like super red. More so because I'm much whiter than I think I am, and I try to go out in the sun and get a nice olive tan, and it
That's
never
what
works.
happens when you live up north.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for jumping on. We're really excited today to have Jared James with us. He is usually flying all over the country, speaking to people, not so much at the moment. He is a speaker. He's an author. He has a coaching company. He has podcasts. More importantly, he's my friend and maybe one of my favorite karaoke partners. Except for this year, because everything fun got canceled this year.
Yeah.
So Jared, so for people on here who maybe aren't familiar with you, I'm all about like street cred. Like when I'm learning from somebody, I want to know like credibility is big. So why don't you kind of tell them a little bit about like how you got here to where you are now?
Sure. So what's up, everybody? How you doing? Yeah, there's nothing worse than I even hate getting called a coach, but technically we've got a big coaching company, so that is the thing. It's just that everybody now who never sold properties is a coach, and so
that's what I wanted you to tell them.
Yeah. It's amazing, but anyway, so started. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. That's still what I identify as, but I was raised in the real estate industry. So my mother's unpaid assistant for many, many years. At some point, skipping a lot of details, I got into real estate when I was 26 years old. I got named the #1 agent in the country under the age of 30. I wrote a book that did really well. And it's funny because at that point I started getting asked to go and do events, and I didn't even know what I was doing. Like people would ask, like, what do you charge? And all I was thinking was, I just hung out at a picnic for 8 hours for free. Like I have no idea, And then you go start doing events, and at this point, I'm still selling real estate. I've still got a big team. I've still got, before teams were a thing. And it's funny because everybody thinks that that attendees get upset when you sell from the stage. And I found out the opposite, that just as many people get ticked off when you have nothing to sell afterwards. And so I was doing all these events, and then people would be like, well, do you have coaching? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have? And I had nothing, like literally nothing. And so we just started, like back then, just trying to create something. Like, what do we do? And I made some course that I'm embarrassed that people still have out there as blackmail on me. And, it was like a 5-disc set.
You gotta start somewhere.
What's that? Yeah, exactly.
You gotta start somewhere.
Exactly it. And then things grew, and little by little, you start to, like any good entrepreneur, you start to figure it out. And I remember thinking to myself, if we can just get to 50 students, I can make a living doing this, because I had to make a transition, because it's very difficult to be all in on things when you got a very busy real estate team, and then you've got, this growing speaking and coaching business. And so anyway, made the jump. We got the students. We've grown a lot. We're now, from a numbers perspective, we're the 3rd largest coaching and training company in North America. We will be #1. The other 2 guys have a 25-year jump on me. You know, did that, started a marketing company, and so now I've got the coaching training company. I've got a tech marketing company, and like I said, just purebred entrepreneur. And I think the reason that as agents will hear as they're listening today that they kind of relate to me is I'm not out there just watching somebody's video or reading someone's book and then regurgitating their stuff. I literally, do it every day. I run businesses, I see what it's like to handle people and hiring correctly, and what it's like when, these kinds of things happen, like we've been in the last few months. And so that's really what kind of separates me, is that I've actually, there's a big difference between teaching somebody a script and sitting across the dining room table and actually hearing how somebody responds. I'm sure you've all had that experience where, you're trying to get really good at what to say, and you say A, they say B, you say A, and all of a sudden they don't say what they were supposed to say. And you're like, crap, like, what do I do now, right? And so my advantage is that, I'm not the theory of real estate. I'm not the theory of business. I've done it. I do it every day. I don't still run my team because that would just be impossible. I sold my team. It would just be absolutely impossible. Plus, no companies would ever want to hire me because I would technically be a competitor. But we work with people all over the world, and it gives me a unique, vantage point of what's happening, and how people are responding and what's coming and what we need to be doing. And, agents are a funny bunch because agents like to say one of two things. Whenever you bring anything new to them and you try to innovate, they either say, well, nobody's doing that here.
That won't work.
Yeah. Or,
won't work in my market.
Say, well, everyone's doing that here. So, and my question's always, so where's the win? Because if nobody's doing it or everybody's doing it, and it's really, especially in the world we live in today, and we'll probably get into this a little bit, innovation is such a key point because, last year I was going around in almost every conference I was at, I was saying, guys, we got a big problem here because most of us are still running our businesses like 90210 is a hit show. And for those of you that don't know what that means, Google it. It was a show in the 90s.
It was amazing.
Yeah, amazing. I wanted to be Brandon Walsh. But the point was that, consumers have changed so much, like drastically. And yet when you look at how real estate businesses are being run, they're exactly the same. Like for people that have come in under their father or mother, and it's like a generational thing, they still run the business the exact same way. They still, and that's a problem. And when you look at, my company coaches the number one team in the country, the number one brokerage in the world, the number 1, 3, 5, 7 agents in the, like when you look at how they do business, they are literally like just killing it over the idea that everybody they're competing with is still running their businesses like it's 25 years ago. And so, for some people, unfortunately, they get away with it because they're still able to be successful because they have a certain book of business. But the problem is, number one, if you came in new today and tried to follow that same model, it would never work. And number two, it's not a matter of whether you're making it. It's a matter of whether you're actually getting the most out of your potential. Like, comparing yourself against other people and going, wow, I'm doing good compared to them is just as dangerous as comparing to someone else and saying I'm not doing as good as them. It doesn't freaking matter what everybody else is doing, right? Like, what is your potential? Like, that's all that matters. The greatest sin on this earth would be to leave this planet, to a standing ovation to everybody here. And then you get before God and he says, what the hell? Because your potential was so much greater, right? And so that's kind of what I tried. That's what I try to kind of speak with. It's what I try to in my own life, like try to figure out like, where we're going, we're building and just looking at where are we today? How can we innovate? How can we make things better for consumers? How can we become more visible? I'm a huge believer visibility trumps ability.
I was going to talk about that today.
Cool. Well, then we'll talk about it. Like that's a main part of everything I believe in. So that's kind of I don't know what else to say, guys. I got a dog. I love him. I'm paler than I wish I was. I paid the price for it this weekend. But we can get into whatever you want to get into.
And at the end, we can try to guess Jared's go-to karaoke song for bonus.
Do I have one? I feel like I'm a watcher. Like I watch other people and have fun watching.
My memory is different, but well, thank you. We appreciate you. And I just want people to know that because I want people to know that you've walked the walk, not just somebody who gets up there and talks the talk. And
every day, literally every day.
Yeah. what we wanted to do was something that's really, I mean, clearly we could have you just talk for an hour, but we really wanted to do something specific to help our agents in this exact moment in time, in this exact market with what's going on in their business. So I had our young professional agents submit some questions.
Okay.
I've got a list, so I'm going to put on my best Oprah today and interview you and just get your advice. And
I have not seen these questions either, everybody.
Oh, no, I didn't send them
So this could be a crap show. I'm just warning you. Like,
I promise there is nothing on this list that you haven't probably answered 100 times already on stage. So.
All right, and then feel free to just like free flow too. If you have a follow up or anything, or someone jumps in and wants to know, like, the big thing that I want you all to understand here is, yes, I have a message, and we're trying to help the industry right now, but at the same time, again, we're doing this every day. I'm dealing with agents all over the world. So like, if you have a question about something, or you want me to like show you something or screen share and how's that work, whatever you guys want, I'm here to help for the next hour.
Yeah, and we got a big group, so I have everybody muted, but I will be watching the chat. So if y'all want to drop questions in over there as we go, feel free to do that, and I'll try my best to get through all of them. Okay, awesome. So we've got you for an hour. So I say, let's just jump right in.
Do it.
Do you like that? I have my daughter's unicorn pin, by the way.
I was trying to figure out what that was. I was like, is that getting messed up with a Zoom background, or is that a real, that's a unicorn pen?
What happens when you work from home? Okay, so
I'm so glad I didn't use my unicorn pen today.
First one is, my business is growing, but I still feel like I don't have the right systems in place and am not being as productive as I could be. What systems are a must-have?
Well, it's pretty simple, right? So, well, systems and infrastructure are technically the different things, but they're also the same in the sense that they flow together, okay? So I can tell you right off the bat, I don't know what your company offers, and if I say anything your company offers, just tell me that. But I'll tell you, one of the biggest mistakes agents are making today is that they don't use a TC. Like, that is numero uno. We changed our whole organizational chart, I think last year around this, because we were telling everybody that their first hire was an admin from a systematic standpoint. That's changed now. Your first hire is a TC, and it's transaction coordinator. If anybody's new on here and is wondering, there you go, just got it. What's a TC? Transaction coordinator, okay? Let's remember something, guys. Like, everybody has different personality profiles, which means that you're good at doing different things, okay? We are an industry that goes into people's houses for years and years and tries to convince them that we are an expert at everything. Oh, I'm an expert marketer. I'm an expert negotiator. I'm an expert communicator. I'm an expert bull crapper. That's what you should tell them, because the personality profile of all those different things is so different that you're either schizophrenic or you're not being honest. And some of us probably are schizophrenic, but for the most of us, that's just not possible, right? When you look at for example, when you look at what makes an agent successful, can we all just agree on something real quick? Is everybody here watching in real estate? Is that kind of what the deal is? You're all agents, you're all brokers, whatever it is. Okay, so here's what I know about all of you. You are not normal. In fact, you're probably a little off. Let's just be very honest, okay? Normal people don't get into real estate. Like, nobody says, hey, let's go get that salaried job, make mom happy. I'm gonna get guaranteed benefits. I'm gonna get, matching 401k. I'm gonna get, whatever it is. You didn't do that. Okay, you got into real estate. So we already know you're a little bit off, okay? Most of you are a little controlling. Most of you are like, I won't go down you get it, okay? So let's look at what it takes to manage a transaction, which is really the consumer experience when you really look at it, right? We all know that when a property goes under contract, that does not mean it closed, okay? Now, unfortunately for some of you, you act like it closed, and that's why you keep falling behind financially, and it's the world is over when a deal falls apart. Well, the deal was never actually done, right? So we can't count those chickens, so to say, before they hatch, right? So, but the personality profile of an agent tends to be high D, high I, influential. You're, shaking hands, kissing babies. You're making things happen. You're controlling. You're whatever. The personality profile. Let's not even break down all the other stuff of a marketer and all of that stuff. Let's just take transaction coordination. That's a high C, high S. That's somebody who is annoyed by your lack of organization. That's someone who gets their jollies off of checking off a task list, and they're like, oh, I feel completed today. Like, I feel, okay? That is not you. And so, when I say your first hire in, whether you're day one in real estate or whether you're day 20,001 in real estate is a TC, it's because there's no risk. When you hire a good TC, you only pay them when you close. Okay. So like if you're using it and they don't close, you don't pay them the fee. If it closes, you do. If you have a lot of transactions, you pay more. If you have none and you slow down, there's no risk. You don't pay anything. But the greater point is the time exchange, right? So I'm a big believer. I did a video last year that went a little viral where I said to everybody, look, the idea that we all have the same 24 hours in a day is an utter lie. It's bullcrap. Oh, Elon Musk has the same 24 hours as you. It's just a way to make you feel like a piece of crap, okay? You're like, why does he get so much done and I'm just here, being worthless? I get almost nothing done. He's launching stuff to space and I barely got lunch ready for the kids, Like, we don't all have the same 24 hours in a day. That's bullcrap. It's not true, okay? We have the number of hours according to the infrastructure that we create, okay? So if I've got 45 people that work for me, I get all 24 from every one of those people. I've got over 1,000 hours every day to your 24. So go ahead and try to beat me. You see how this works? And so when you start looking at getting a TC, the reason why I brought that up is because there's a time exchange, right? Every buyer, every seller, everything has a certain number of hours associated with them. Whether you've ever figured it out or not, they do, okay? And there's only so many of them that you can handle. And what happens is when we sell our clients on this solopreneur mentality, I'm gonna be everything. I'm always available. I'm gonna be the one that great. So I hope you're good at what you do, but not too good, because then you're gonna get more clients. And when you get more clients, you're gonna run out of time. And that's when we have to start making decisions about, well, this property got marketed differently than this property because when I did this one, I was busier, but this one I had more time. And you start making those kind of decisions, whether you recognize it or not, because there's always a time exchange that occurs. And this is why real estate agents are like roller coaster rides, because they get desperate and they do what they have to do to make business happen. They start marketing, they start calling people. They're like, crap, I got to make business happen. And then they create some business. And then what do? They manage the business. And the moment you start managing that business, what did you just take away from? You took away from creating business, okay? So then you close all that new business because you manage it, and then what happens? Crap, I've got no business. Okay, I'm gonna be, and it's just this roller coaster, when the truth is, every agent in this world should be working with a TC, with a transaction coordinator, because what happens is you never stop creating business. It frees you up to do the things that actually make you money, that actually put you in front of people, that actually make you visible, and the person whose personality is great at doing that managing transaction stuff, they're doing that, and it makes you look great to your clients because now you've got a team of people. We're professionals. We take care of you. And if you really think about it, guys, for those of you that are listening and you're like, no, but my people want me. That's bullcrap, by the way. That's what you tell yourself. That's what you taught them to believe. They want to be taken care of during the third most stressful time in their life, death, divorce, and moving. You just taught them that you're the one that takes care of it, right? So that's bullcrap. But can you imagine if you went to a doctor and the doctor picked up the phone and set the appointment, and the doctor followed up with you to make sure you were going to show up, and the doctor met you at the front desk and took your insurance info, and the doctor walked you over to the waiting room, and then the doctor walked you to the second waiting room, which is really all it is. There's just no magazines. And then the doctor took your weight and your height, and then the doctor came in and diagnosed you, and then the doctor tried to schedule you for surgery. Is there any chance in this world you are letting that doctor take a knife to you? Like, you're like, can you get someone for $12 an hour to answer the phone? Like, before you start talking about bringing a knife to me, and yet we are dealing with the largest assets people are ever going to own. And that's exactly how we're operating. Okay. So TC, number one, it also teaches you to delegate. Okay. It's
and I supposed to ask, licensed or unlicensed TC?
Okay. Assistant, I say, pretty much has to be licensed. TCs don't have to be licensed. You just can't have them. What happens with a TC sometimes is that the agent or the clients they're dealing with will start trying to get them doing things that they shouldn't be doing, but when it comes down to it, they can't be explaining contracts. They can't be negotiating contracts. They can't be doing anything like that. It is document, make sure it's there, get it to the proper parties, checklist, make sure, hey, you've got 2 days left on your inspection, make sure your clients know, it's that stuff. as long as they're not getting involved in the actual, negotiation and all that stuff, which by the way, they shouldn't anyway. That's you, right? A TC doesn't have to be licensed. An admin should be licensed, but that's a story for another time, whatever. But so TC is number one. And then from a systematic standpoint, pretty simply, guys, you've got to have a CRM. Like it's not an optional thing. It's, I like to say that a real estate business without a fully functioning CRM is like a car without wheels. Still a car. You can still lay back and go to sleep. You can still listen to music. You can still turn the heat on, but you're not going anywhere. Okay. If you're working off of memory CRM, when we have so much available to us today, just to keep us, knowing who we're supposed to be in touch with, doing our long-term follow-ups, like all of that stuff, I promise you, you are not performing at your level of ability. And when you try to grow and you try to bring on other people, and then you start trying to get them to do what you don't do, do as I say, not as I do. I don't understand it, but you need to understand it. Or you go hire an admin and you tell them, just organize my database. Just go, okay, all you're going to do is frustrate the crap out of them. I get that a lot of you don't understand them, but in a 2020 world, you've got to have a TC, you've got to have a CRM. You're going to do more business. You're going to do it in less time. You're going to be more organized. You're going to be able to bring other people on who can do the exact same thing because now you're following a scalable process. I say it all the time. You either run a business or you run around. You can't do both, okay? And unfortunately, we go to hours and hours of real estate classes that teach us how to pass a test, but not how to run a business. And so we basically learn how to be an attorney and then told don't discuss anything legal, you'll get sued. And that's why 87% of agents are failing in the first 5 years. Some of them should because they don't belong in our industry, but some are failing because they've simply never been taught how to run a business. I mean, it's just business 101. You either run a business or you run around, right? And the tools you use, what you do every day is what's going to determine that. So you may not like.
Awesome.
You want to see
I see somebody saying too, they're scared to pay for a TC, when you're newer. But like you just said, you don't pay them unless you close the deal. So until you make money, you don't owe them anything. So it's really the lowest risk
such a
thing you
no-brainer.
can add to your business.
Such a no-brainer. Like I can't explain this to you guys enough. It gives you such an advantage over everybody else. It makes you look so good to your clients when you have the right TC. Like it's a no-brainer, guys.
Yep. Okay, awesome. Next one. How can I get more business off of open houses?
They're not still trying to ban open houses.
Texas does its own thing.
I'm happy to hear it because
we ain't scared down here in Texas.
Lately, I've been hearing all these ideas about get rid of open houses and all, and I'm like, would you guys just shut up? My God. Anyway. So open houses are actually pretty simple from the perspective of, when you're marketing them. Like the biggest mistake I see people making with open houses is, number one, their mentality going in is they think that they're just appeasing the sellers when they do it. Let's remember you hear about all the nosy neighbors coming through. Like that's your best person. Like, why are they coming through? You are literally putting a flag in the ground and saying, hey, people who are interested in real estate, come on through, right? And the percentage of people that come through that are interested in real estate are better than any other location you've been in the last week, like at all, right? So your mentality's got to be in the right place and understand, hey, I'm not going to close every single person. But at the same time, the biggest mistake agents make when they're holding open houses is trying to sell that house, okay? Now, hear me out on this, because I know that sounds like blasphemy. I want you to sell that house, okay? But the beauty of an open house is that it gives you the cheese that catches the mice, okay? The odds that the person that walks through that home is going to buy that house is not very high, right? But the odds that they're going to buy something or they're going to sell something, extremely high. Every person needs a roof over their head, okay? So extremely high. So number one, what you do with your marketing matters. I mean, I don't want to talk about the normal stuff, guys, but like obviously you should be shooting videos and putting them out and promoting them and getting them in front of people who don't know you. And don't worry about somebody saying, why is this spam in my news feed, okay? Reply to them and say, why are you an idiot? Like whenever I see someone that posts those ridiculous comments because an ad showed up in their free Facebook or their free Instagram because ads pay for that experience, and they write some ridiculous thing. Hey, troll, why don't you get out of my news feed? I always want to say, like, man, it must be a pleasure to be married to you because your view of the world is right on, you know? So don't not do that stuff because you're afraid of how people are going to respond, okay? Then when you actually hold the open house, mentality matters. Every person is a potential client. Every person, don't assume because someone says that they're working with an agent. Asking somebody if they're working with an agent is the dumbest question you can ask, okay? Communication 101, it's not what you say that matters, it's what people hear. And if you want to get to the real question, you've got to ask different questions or the real answer. So when you say to somebody, are you working with an agent? Do you know what they hear? They hear, oh, that's all I have to do to get rid of you is say yes, okay? That's what they hear. It's a bad question. What you want to say, hey, do you have anybody sending you good deals? Different question. Different psychological response. Now they're looking at it and they're going, do you have access to properties I don't have access to? Like, do you have, because that's really what they care about, right? Now you're going to get a real answer. And they're going to say something like, well, you know, my sister-in-law is an agent and she's been sending us some properties. She does it part-time, but we're not really, you know, signed up with anybody. Do you have access to properties I don't have access? Now you're going to have a real dialogue, okay? And then as far as once you get through that conversation, this is where the CRM comes in. This is where follow-up comes in, and this is where agents fail, okay? You should be using a system that allows you to keep track of all of those people that come through the open house, group them together, send them a mass text, put them on some kind of a drip campaign. I know some people in the industry, you know, oh, drip campaigns, those are amazing if they're done correctly. Drip campaigns are not just automatic follow-ups. Almost half of your steps should be reminders to you on what you should be doing, right? You have automatic stuff that happens, but then you've got the real, what you're doing every day and your hour of power and when you're following up with these people. The follow-up's all that matters. But the key is when you find out at an open house what somebody's interested in, that is your cheese, so to say, right? The moment something comes on that potentially could match them, the moment you hear about something in your market that's going to be coming on because you guys have a big office or anything like that, that's when you've got to hook them. And you reach out and you say something like, hey, I've got something coming on that I think fits your criteria that hasn't hit the market yet. Would you like to hear more about it? Okay. Now, when I do something like that, guys, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get conversation. Conversations equals closings. It's really that simple, okay? They've got 12 other agents that are all sending them the same crap, doing the same thing, doing the, you know, the whole whatever. At the end of the day, the person that gets the conversation is the person who's going to win. So you've got to get better at creating those calls to conversation, okay? Forget about for a second calls to actions, calls to conversation. That's what creates transactions, okay? So your marketing matters. Your mentality when you're in the open house matters. Your question when you meet the people matters, right? Quality of our answers will always be determined by the quality of the questions we ask. And then your follow-up matters. You've got to create a call to conversation. The goal is to get a conversation and get them out to a house. Because how many of you have had the experience, if I can just get in front of people, if I can just be with them for a little bit, they end up working with me. True or not true? True?
Yeah.
Okay. So the key is we can't be trying to act like a teenage boy and close on the first date. Okay. Like it's not about, do I sell them right now at this open house? It's about, can I create the relationship now? Because I'm not going to move up their time process at all, but I want to be a part of that process. That comes through calls to conversation. That comes through asking the right questions. That comes from having your system set up in your CRM. That comes from all of that. It doesn't come from just holding it to make your sellers happy.
So you touched on two things there that I want you to go more into. So you talked about video, and then at the very beginning, and this is actually, if I ever quote you, which isn't often, but there's this one thing I quote you on, is the visibility trumps ability thing.
Yeah.
I think people are so self-conscious.
Yep.
A video, they're afraid to self-promote and put themselves out there.
Yep.
But you know, you always preach, if people aren't seeing you, they are not going to call you. It doesn't matter how amazing you are. So why don't you touch on that for a minute?
All right, so pretty simple. Look, we can all have a breakthrough on the video thing, okay? You guys ready? What you look like in person is exactly what you look like now. So let's stop catching people off guard, right? Like we've all had the experience where you show up and they go, is your daughter coming? Like, what's the deal here? You know? So let's just be very clear here. Like, you look like what you look like, you sound like what you sound like, and that's an awesome thing, right? Great marketing doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones. And so that's very important when we're talking about being a real estate agent, because people are attracted to different types of people as far as working with them and such. It's the same thing with your friends. When you look at your group of friends, the reason why they stay with you, even though sometimes you annoy them and everything else, are your oddities, are the things that make you different, are the bad jokes you tell, are the, whatever it is, right? Like, your business changes, especially from a video perspective, when you start to realize, this is who I am, and I am enough. Like, I'm just enough, right? And I'm not out here to win everybody. Great marketing doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones. The moment my business took off was the moment I stopped trying to act like other coaches, okay? The moment I stopped wearing ties on the stage, it would literally give me red marks here because I would never wear a tie, and then it was like just up against my Adam's apple the whole time. Like, the moment I stopped trying to talk like them, the moment that I just went, I'm either enough or I'm not. And the moment I just became comfortable with, like, I'm the same guy at soccer practice that I am in front of 7,500 people. I'm the same guy, like, that's when I took off. And by the way, that was important for me, because if I wasn't enough for what I was trying to do, in your case, you're trying to get people for real estate. I was doing what I'm doing now. I'd rather find that out so I don't spend the next 5 years trying to be something that's not actually me. You see what I'm saying? And so your personality, what makes you different, all of that stuff is ultimately what has to be displayed. Because I'll say it again, great marketing doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones. I'm well aware when I stand in front of an audience that there's like 80% of that crowd that is like my ride or die now. They're like, I love this guy. Like, this is, whatever. And then I'm aware there's like 20% that hope that I step in front of traffic later, okay? And I'm like, good. Go find someone else. I'm not, because great marketing doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones. But you're never going to do that by hitting record and then acting like what you think a realtor with a badge is supposed to act like, okay? It just doesn't work. So the other reason, once we get that out of the way and we're like, look, I look and sound on video exactly what I look and sound like in person. Let's not scare people. Let's not, catch them off guard. This is who I am, right? And short of you walking around, in public with a bag over your head and a sound, whatever, like, people are going to find out what you look and sound like. Video's not, it's not something new like that's, but here's the other reason video matters. Video matters because, number one, it's how people are now communicating. I mean, look at this. I love the fact that most of you right now have your videos turned on, okay? When we first started doing all this stuff, it was the crazy, like, everyone's got their video. They're in a Zoom call with your videos off. Yeah. It's like going down to the freaking beach with jeans on. Like, you're on Zoom. It's video, like, But what video does is it communicates in the way that consumers statistically want to communicate, that they want to consume. Just like you guys watch videos, you watch entertainment, you watch movies, you watch, whatever it is, and it gives you the ability, while everyone else is being scared and staying away from it, it gives you a chance to be more visible. And as Jen said, like, one of the like pillars of our company is visibility trumps ability, period. Visibility will always trump ability. And what that means is that, how many of you know people in your area that you're better than, but they sell more houses than you? Think about that. They don't always work with the best agent. They work with the one who the option is, okay? Like, it's about your options. I went and bought a grill yesterday, and I went to one of two stores because they were an option. I thought about them. I saw an ad. You've got to be visible first, okay? And video allows you to do that in a way. And when you start to get that whole idea too, the whole visibility and everything else, that's when you really start stepping out and not only doing video, but you start prospecting, you start like all of these things to be proactively creating business, because you stop caring about being rejected, okay? When you can get over the idea of being rejected, like literally your goal in your area should be to be the most rejected agent in your area. When you look at the amount of marketing we don't do, when you look at the amount of calls we don't do, when you look at an open house and the fact that we don't circle prospect that, even though we know that when a house comes up in an area, within 30 days, another listing is going to come up in that neighborhood, right? So we put an open house on, and we don't call the neighbors. We don't go walk the neighborhood. Some of us will send out, just listed cards because there's no rejection in that. But we basically don't do anything that's going to bring rejection because we're too brittle or whatever the reason is, and we're costing ourselves tens of thousands of dollars. If I were to ask you, hey, if you'll go take RedX or one of these other Land Voice or one of these companies and just call the neighborhood and let them know. It's not like you're cold calling and saying, want a vacuum cleaner. But you're like, hey, I just listed your neighbor's property over at blank, thought you'd want more information. Do people like to get information on their neighbor's house? Yeah, they sure do, right? Okay, so here's the info, blah, 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 whatever. By the way, not sure if you're aware, this may have changed the value of your home. Would you like to know how it's changed? Or when a listing comes up and you've got buyers in that area, why wouldn't you be reaching out to the neighborhood since you know another listing's going to come up and say, hey, I've got 2 buyers that are looking for a 3 to 4 bedroom, 1 to 2 bath, 1,500 to 2,000 square foot, basically every property in that neighborhood. They're looking for that kind of property. If you or someone you know is even considering selling, can you please let me know right away? I may be able to sell their house without it ever even hitting the market. Okay. Now that's getting in beforehand during a COVID time where they don't want a bunch of showings, and you're saying I may be able to sell it without it ever even. And I'm reaching out proactively because I don't care about being rejected. Okay. If you will, the things we don't do because we're afraid of some stranger who will never even be thinking about us 5 seconds from now saying no to us while we're struggling or not creating the amount of business we should be creating is otherworldly. If you would just make the decision to be the most rejected agent in your market, you will be the most successful agent in your market. That's just how it works, right? So visibility matters. There's a lot of ways to get visibility. You can do it through video. You can do it through prospecting. You can do it through, but I'll tell you how you don't do it. You don't do it by sitting back and waiting for your phone to ring. That's not how it works, especially in a market like we're in right now. You just can't overthink things, right? Like I'm a believer we spend more time, figuring out what should be on our business card than we do actually making sure it ends up in the right hands. Like we love to sit back and just wait and overthink and get everyone's opinion. Like if any of you have, and please don't raise your hands because you're not going to like this, but if any of you ever put out that thing where it's like, hey guys, I'm doing a new logo. I'm thinking of doing this, that, which of the 4, let me just tell you right now, nobody cares. Nobody was going to work with you, but then they were like, I didn't like your decision about Courier News size 12. I would have gone Arial 10, but whatever, I guess my opinion doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Like just go be the most rejected agent in your area and you will make a fortune.
Well, and that's good advice. And I know we have a lot of newer agents on here. And I mean, I'll say this is an odd time to be a new agent, to be coming into the business. But one of them said, as a new agent, what's the number one thing I should be doing right now?
I don't know if it is that bad to come in. I mean, I get what you're saying, but agents are acting weird right now. And like, they're not doing, the things they could, and they're afraid to go do things, and they're, whatever. But here's the cool thing, man. It's almost like when I built my speaking career. The people that I was reaching out to build my speaking career when I was brand new, they didn't know anything about me other than what I taught them to know. They were, they would go look at my site, they would look at my marketing, they would see a video and they'd be like, oh, this guy's amazing. Oh, this guy's, or they think he sucks and whatever. But the point is they didn't know anything other than what I taught them to know. As a new agent, first off, if I were you, I'd go watch. I did a podcast. It's on my Facebook profile as well. I did a Facebook Live 3 weeks ago, with a guy, Quintavious Q, who did 106 transactions in his first year. Okay. 106 in his first year. Okay. Brand new. He was 21 or 22 or 23 or some number that makes me hate him, but he was somewhere in there. Okay. And so my point is, first off, don't use the new thing as an excuse. okay? We teach people how to feel, right? We train them what to object to. Many times the things that you're worried about, the things that you're, oh my God, are they going to ask that? Or maybe I'm not the best at that or whatever. Isn't it funny they end up asking that? And a lot of times they get it directly from you because they can smell it, okay? So first off, get that out of your head. I'm new, I'm young, all this kind of stuff. People know what we teach them to know. If you know your market, if you're going around, you're touring the houses, you're seeing what's going on, you're checking the MLS, you're looking at the hot sheets every day, you're seeing what's selling, what's not, what's coming back on, what's lowering prices, what's doing. You can know the market better than anyone in your marketplace just by spending 15 minutes a day doing those kinds of things. But again, new or not, visibility trumps ability. It's always going to come back to that. So if you're brand new in the business, you know why Q did 106 transactions in his first year? It wasn't because he kept telling himself, I'm young and I'm new. It's because he got in front of more people, okay? So there's many ways to do that. Some of them I've already mentioned through traditional prospecting, circle prospecting, doing open houses, taking on other people's open houses. Just put in the freaking work, okay? But let's talk about some other ways to do that as well, right? Content. Content is the greatest way to get known right now, okay? The reason why I believe so much in content, I believe in so much in social media, I believe in email database. By the way, the number one thing that everyone completely just craps on and doesn't realize the power of it is your email database. It's the number one marketing tool you have. Like, I'm going to have on in 2 weeks on my podcast, I'm having on Russell Brunson, who's probably like the foremost marketer in our world, internet marketing, whatever. You put me and him in a back room together and we'll tell you the number one way is still email marketing, okay? So visibility matters, but that can not only be done through traditional, the prospecting I just talked about, it's also done through content creation. Content creation is easier than ever. I put out a thing the other day, the 6 reasons this is not a housing crisis. And I talked about how, it was 4 times easier to get a loan back in 2008 than it is now. There was 4 times as much equity taken out of homes back then. And I just went through all these different reasons. Every one of you should be taking those 6 reasons and creating 6 different pieces of content. Like, do a Facebook Live and talk about it. Talk into a camera and just educate consumers. We live in a world right now where the one who educates is the one who's going to win. And you have the ability right now through email marketing, through social and Google and these others, marketing with a very low budget to get in front of people. Yesterday they didn't know you, today they do. That's how a business grows, right? You have the ability to do that right now with content like never before. There's so much content out there. Go steal my stuff. I really don't care, right? What questions do people ask you? That's your content. Don't think that because you know something or you've gotten so used to it that that's not great content for your customers. It is. And here's the beautiful thing about your consumer base. They're constantly turning over as far as who the buyers and sellers are. So you can literally pick 2 or 3 different pieces of content that you do, 5 ways to get $10,000 more for your house, 3 mistakes every buyer makes when, but whatever your thing is going to be, literally post that, promote it, and just keep it running all year long because it's constantly new buyers and sellers that matters to them at different times. So one day that may show up on my feed and I'm not buying, so I don't care about it and I just move on. And then the next day I am buying, now it shows up and I watch it. You just keep letting it roll, okay? And I know a lot of you, by the way, that are listening are saying to yourselves, I didn't get into real estate to become a content creator.
Or do video.
Yeah, but here's the truth too. My brother's a mechanic. He didn't get in to learn how to fix cars by a computer. But if he wanted to keep his job, he had to learn how to fix cars using a computer because cars changed, okay? When the internet came about and when people started looking into buying or selling a year before they ever actually buy or sell, content from the trusted advisor, which is you, now became relevant, okay? Because whoever trains them is the one they're going to end up working with. And we do this with thousands of students all over the world where their buyers and sellers tell them when they meet them the first time, thank you so much. I've been watching your videos for 6 months. It's really helped us. And here's another point too, to what you said in the beginning, Jen, I don't just talk about this stuff. I do it. Go watch what I do. Okay. Go look at how much content I put out on our YouTube channel. how much free content I put out on my Instagram profile, how much free content I put out on my podcast, how much free content, like all of that stuff. Why am I doing it? It takes all those people and adds them to the funnel. It's 2020 marketing. It makes me visible. I fought my team like crazy about doing a podcast because we were already doing so much. And I'm like, guys, I can't do another freaking piece of content. Like I'm just, at some point I need to do other things, and they fought me. And they're like, you gotta, and they quote back things I say in YouTube videos and whatever. So we launched our podcast, and within 2 months, it became a top 200 business podcast in the country. I just got a thing recently. It was a top 200 podcast in Brazil. Just got like all these, and we're getting all of these leads, all of these people, all of this visibility from people who go, I listen to your podcast. I follow you on Instagram every day. I follow you on, whatever, like all these different things. It's just visibility. The principle of that, every single one of you needs to be doing, especially when you're newer and you haven't been jaded and you don't know that people weren't always creating content in this industry. You need to be looking at what just came out today, right? Today, week over week pending sales went up 2.1%. Month over month pending sales went up 13.7%. That's content. In a world where they're interviewing the Shark Tank guys and they're telling them it's a great time to make lowball offers. It's the greatest time ever. Just stupidity. You, as the professional, have got to be putting out counter content or, encountering the news. I know how localized real estate is, but you need to understand that your consumers are watching the national news. Mm-hmm. And have you ever noticed that every time they talk about real estate lately, they're shocked when something, oh my God, prices went up. Shock, unemployment wasn't as bad. Shock, pending sales. Like they're always shocked. But then when something comes out that's somewhat negative, like when the pending home sales in May went down 17.2% over year, they acted like everybody wasn't quarantined the last month and afraid to look at each other because they were going to die, and they just put it out like negative. You've got to create content that is going to counter what people are watching on the news, okay? And that's the kind of stuff when they start to see, oh, you're the professional, you have an opportunity right now. Plant your flag in the ground. Be a content creator. Like, let people know what's actually going on, because that's the person they're going to use.
Smart. Okay, I like this question. Is there a common quality or action you see in the top producers that you work with?
Sure, absolutely. They're innovative. They are. Like all these things you hear me talking about, they do. So like a lot of you are going to leave this, hopefully you're going to be inspired and have some ideas, and you're going to, the whole thing, and you're probably going to follow on social, and like, that's awesome. I love all of it, guys. But here's the thing. Having a good idea has never put $1 in my bank account. Thinking of running has never burned 1 calorie. Like you ultimately have to go from the learn stage, and you have to go to the screw up stage. That's really what it is. Like right now you're in the learn stage. The learn stage is awesome. The learn stage is, hey, I'm getting good stuff. I'm getting good, whatever, right? The only way, and then what these top producers have in common, is they fall in love with the screw up stage. Like that's the next stage, by the way. Like that's the next level of growth. You just take a step and you screw up. Guys, last year, my marketing company developed, after me spending millions of dollars and years, we developed a CRM, okay? And for 3 to 6 months, holy crap, did it suck. Like it was just, it was a crap show. Like it was good in beta, but then you put thousands of people on it and it's like, okay, this is a different thing. By the way, when the iPhone, remember when they released that thing? It was terrible. And you were the guinea pigs, okay? And so just like we had to go through that stage with our CRM, they had to go through that stage with their phone, their iPhone. Every stage you go, when you start to grow and you hire a TC, you're probably not going to be good at it at first. You're probably going to annoy the TC. You're not giving them the proper workflow. You're not communicating effectively. But it's how you grow. Like the job of any small business is to create new problems. That's it. Problems don't go away. You create new ones, okay? If you're having an issue right now, trying to figure out how to hire a TC, and you're whatever, awesome. It's part of growing. If in 5 years from now, you're having a problem trying to figure out how to hire a TC, you suck. Like, you haven't grown at all, right? The idea is we struggle in the beginning with how do I get more transactions? Then how do I grow? How do I get a payroll thing? How do I deal with the problems need to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That's how you grow. But that never happens when you stay in the learn stage. Learn stage is shooting yourself with a little drug that makes you feel good. Screw up stage, when everything just hits the fan, and why did I even do this? It was so much easier last month. That is the only place you grow. That's it.
Smart. Yeah, I love, there's another coach, not real estate coach, but business coach, who says that you got to be willing to suck long enough to get good at something. If you're not willing to suck at it, you're never going to get better at it.
I think I put something out on Instagram recently like that. Like, to get good at anything, you've got to accept the fact that you're going to suck at first. Mm-hmm. Guys, my first video I ever put out on YouTube, I have it unlisted right now because it's so bad.
But you should send
every year I tell our people I'm going to release it to you and I'm going to show it to you. And every year I remember just how much confidence I guess I lack in that area, because I'm like, I can't show this to everybody because it's so bad, right? So don't compare, when we make a video now, what that looks like, or, how comfortable I may be now. I was so bad. Like, I literally set up a camera and then looked over as if I didn't know the camera was there. Like, it was on. I was like, hello there. And I looked over at the camera like I was surprised. Oh, there's the camera, right? And then I go on to, it was like the first ever training I was doing when I think we had 3 people in our database, probably my mother, a friend, and somebody lost, or a robot or something. And I'm going on to tell everybody, now hurry up and register because there's only 1,000 spots. 1,000 spots, guys, okay? I'm pretty sure you could have gotten a last minute spot, okay? I think the video to this day has 17 views. So I'm pretty sure, right? You're going to suck in the beginning. It is what it is, right? But you got to go to the screw up stage.
And it's a great point. Don't compare your beginning or your middle to somebody else's end, somebody who's been doing it and has
started off by saying, stop comparing. Stop comparing. Stop comparing. Everybody runs a different race. Everybody has a different level of talent and skill. Everybody has look, when Usain Bolt stepped on a track, he was naturally faster than everyone. That was his gift. Now, he had to work his butt off to become the fastest person in the world, but it's the same with everything, guys. Like, some people are right now, making 80 grand a year in real estate, and you're awesome. Based on the level of potential you have, you're killing it. Some of you are making 250 and you're terrible because your level of potential is so much higher. It's not about what anybody else is doing. It's really not.
So you've talked about social several times. We've got a few minutes left. So, because somebody had said, I feel like I need to be better about social media, especially right now. Well, everybody's at home and everybody's on their phones all day. So what tips do you have for social media? Yeah,
just do it. Like, guys, the only way, I'm messing around on TikTok right now, trying to figure it out. You just got to get involved. That's the only way. There's no class you're going to watch that's like, oh, now I get it. Whatever. Like, you all know like breakfast, lunch, and dinner are all different meals. But you all know the difference between them. You know why? Because you partake in them. So I know the difference between an omelet in the morning and a steak at night. They're all meals, just like it's all social media. The only way you're going to learn the difference between the meals is if you just start taking part in them and start screwing up and start putting stuff out and start engaging with people and look, billions of people on these platforms, billions. And guys, I'm not a social guy, just so you know. And Jen, just so you know, my next thing, I don't have to be on until 12:15, so don't be feeling the rush right now.
Oh, okay.
But, I'm not a social guy by any means. I'm actually a naturally introverted person, okay? But because of what I do for a living, where visibility matters, where people, connection, person, the whole thing matters, I don't get to say I'm not going to be on social because billions of my people are on social. Why am I on this with you guys right now? Think about this. There's plenty of other things I could be doing. There's plenty of because you're here. And once my target demographic is in a place and I'm invited to be there, it makes sense for me to be there. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing when it comes to, social and these other things, which are just so important because they connect people, not just from a business perspective, but they connect people to your life, which is really going to connect them to you longer term when they think about you more than just a realtor and they see you as a husband, father, brother, sister, whatever it happens to be. They're going to connect with you so much greater and stick with you so much more. And that's why it's been so great for me, is that I'll put up a ton of free content that you guys will love. And then I've got, you know, a progress report on my patio yesterday. And then I've got a thing with my son. And then I've got it's all part of the package, and it scales in a way that you couldn't have done 20 years ago. You used to have to go to lunch with everybody, get coffee with everybody. Now you're visible all throughout the day. You would just put content out.
For free.
For free. Free.
Cost any money. If anybody else has questions, you can drop them over here. I'm going to go. The next one isn't a question. I just love somebody just put a statement. I want more listings.
Okay. So do you want like how to get listings right now?
I assume that's what they meant by I want more listings.
All right. So for the longer version, guys, I just put a video out on YouTube, how to get listings right now. You should just go watch it. But honestly, the best way to get listings right now, I already told you a couple ways with different circle prospecting and everything else. The best way to create listings right now, number one, leverage your buyers. That thing that I talked about earlier, when you've got buyers, you've got what's needed to get a listing before it gets listed, right? I'm looking for this. If you or anyone you know is even considering selling, right? Now you can do that through a letter. You can do that through creating video content, putting it out. You can send it to your database. You can promote it to your town. Say, guys, if you know anybody, please let me know. I may be able to sell your property without it ever even hitting the market. You can get very creative in those ways. Some of the ways that are a little bit, a little different right now that I don't think enough people are leveraging. Number one, things like if you guys have Airbnb or VRBO in your area, those are going to be sellers because they relied on the travel industry and that industry is shot. So a lot of those people that had second, third, fourth homes through Airbnb, VRBO.com, those places, those sellers' information is right on the site because you deal directly with them. You need to start reaching out to them, okay? Another one that's super underrated right now is Facebook groups. Every one of you should have a Facebook group in your area that says something like, what's happening in real estate in blank, your area, okay? People love to look at real estate. You should have content in there. 7 best pools on the market. 5 best cafes to go to. What people love that. The 4 best patios in so-and-so Texas. What people love that content. Here's the listing of the week. Blah, blah, blah. You can post questions out to people. We put a thing in our group. We have a group called Jared James Coaching on Facebook. You all can join it. It's free. We put out content all the time. I put one out the other day. I said, go post this. Going through COVID now, I forget exactly what it said, but going through COVID now, what are 3 things your next house is going to have that your current one doesn't? Go post that. And people start posting and some are joking around, but then some are like, no, I'm legit selling. Like, I really need that. Like, that's, just get in front of people, I could rattle off there's a bunch of them, right? But I just put out a video, guys, that actually talks about that. It's on our YouTube channel. You can go.
Speaking of that, why don't you where can they go follow you, find you on social?
So here's what I would tell you guys. I'll make it very easy. And here's another tip for you guys. I'm putting in the, I just put it in the chat. Perfect. Connectwithjared.com. That's called a digital business card. Every single one of you should have that. You should not be telling people on Instagram I'm this, on Facebook I'm this, on Snapchat I'm this, on TikTok I'm this, on YouTube I'm this, whatever. Go look at that, connectwithjared.com. All of my profile stuff, click on it, follow, everything is on there. I saw somebody else ask as well. I wasn't talking about this because of that. I actually started it because of that. But we have a marketing company that does TC, that does transaction coordination. And that was only because we didn't always have that, but it was just like, this is where the industry's going. Our marketing company should offer that. But go to that, connectwithjared.com, send me a message. You guys should actually be taking a picture of this, that you're on this. Put it up on Instagram and Facebook. Say something great about your brokerage for offering this kind of a thing. If you tag me in it at Jared James Today, I'll pick a couple of them and I'll repost them to give you guys some love. But you should be promoting your brokerage and stuff. Take a picture of it. Let everybody know that our brokerage does this kind of stuff for us. It's a nice way to say thank you to them.
And it shows that you're working. You're not just sitting by the pool during all this time.
Yes, it does do that as well. It does. And guys, by the way, you can always, I kind of batch my time throughout the day. You can always DM me. If you have a question or something, direct message. Easiest way is Instagram. That's where I'm quickest. You can send me a message on Facebook or any of these other ones. But like, if you have a question or you're like, where can I find this? Or like, how should I handle this or whatever? I literally have times throughout the day where I just sit there and respond to people one after another after another. My office will tell you I'm walking through my office shooting videos responses, video response, video response. Just, it's part of me serving the industry. So if you want to take advantage of that, go for it.
Awesome. And before we wrap up, first of all, thank you for your time today. But you have an event coming up, right?
Do
if they want to see more, tell them about that.
So I'll make it easy for you guys. So we do an event every year called the Jared James Advance. This year it was going to be in Nashville, but there's something going on in the world that we're not able to do it. So we decided we have a little slogan, the show must go online, right? So we're doing we're still doing our 2 days. I'm renting out a mega church. All the main sessions live and everything are going to be amazing. Multiple cameras, production, the whole thing. But it's going to be a great thing for the industry. It'll still be 2 days. The only difference is now it's $199. It's October 5th and 6th. You will not only get the 2 days of content, like from me and all the other people we bring in from around the world, but the cool thing about it being virtual is you now are going to get to watch every session. Whereas if you were just at our event, you'd have to pick 2 breakouts. You'd have to miss the other 5, that kind of a thing. You're going to be able to watch everything now. And part of it now we've decided as well is that every single person that registers is going to get a recording. They're going to get in the virtual event center. All the sessions are recorded. You'll have access for a year. So it's just going to be sick value. All the documents, all the templates we talk about, it's a ridiculous amount of value. Like, I can't even explain it. I'm ticked off. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm ticked off that we can't do it in Nashville. Yeah. I so want to do that, but
2020.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, 2021 will 100% be there. I'll put the link for you guys here. Let me, I just put the link in the chat. If you have questions about it, let us know. I don't generally even talk about anything that we're selling or doing, but Jen, I appreciate you asking me if I wanted to bring it up.
If they want to check out more,
yeah.
I'm all about learning, and always sharpening the sword. And
yeah. It's a really
like that, where you just really for 2 days are all in focused on that can be a really powerful tool.
You get the recording too, and we bring in top agents and brokers and all sorts of stuff, even people outside the industry from all over. And it's just great learning, guys. Like, learning does matter. Don't get me wrong. Like, the learn stage, a good stage. You just got to take it to the next stage. That's learning is a part. Someone asked me once, what do you do better than anyone? And I said, I think I learn better. I think that you remember that whole thing, like leaders are readers, right? I think that's nonsense. Like leaders are learners. I don't read a lot of books. But I've got Audible and I've got podcasts and I've got YouTube and I've got, don't let people stick you in a box for how you learn. You can learn however you want, right? There's so many different ways to do it now, but make sure you're always learning. And then I want to say one more thing about this. Be careful how many voices you're allowing in your life. And I really mean that, guys. One of the beauties of today's world is that there's so much content available. One of the downsides is that there's too much content available. Okay. And when people are confused, they don't act. So you'll listen to one guy who says, debt is awesome. It helps you grow. It does whatever. And he's a multimillionaire. Then you listen to another one who's a multimillionaire and he says, all debt is bad. It's terrible. Whatever. Who's right? You're both right. Just might not be right for you. Okay. And so what I would tell you guys in all seriousness, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, if you relate to a guy like me, follow me, listen to what I have to say. If you don't, find someone who does. But stop filling your head with so many contradictory voices, because when you are confused, you don't move. You got to find people that you really believe, you trust them, they get you fired up when you hear from them, and you got to buy all in on those people. It's going to do you better than listening to 15 different people who say 15 different things, if that makes any sense at all.
It does. All right. We appreciate your time. Thank you. Everybody give Jared the Zoom wave. Never waved at so many people in my life until we started all these Zoom calls. So
that's awesome. Jen, I love you. Seriously, I love you. Thanks for bringing me in. I wish we could have had our yearly hangout.
Yeah, next year we'll make up for it. All right. Thanks, John.
I all of you as well. Yeah.
See ya.
Guys, I got to jump off.
Bye-bye.